we have one of our regulars, Pop Culture Void, Emma. Welcome, making her mighty return. I think she missed she missed her very first one in the last one, and she is back. I don't know why.
Welcome back.
I don't know why she'd come back for this one, but so welcome everybody to the Cage. That is the reason that she is back. Welcome back to our Daily Dead watch party, our monthly series. This month, the Mayflowers are springing, and we are ready for the turn of the season. So, with the sun out, we figured what better way to celebrate than by torturing Nicolas Cage with bees and lighting him on fire. We are going to be watching the 2006 remake of The Wicker Man. So if anybody was getting into this thinking that they were going to be seeing the 1973 classic with Christopher Lee, I'm sorry to disappoint you. This is going to be a very different experience. But we won't be alone. We have a full house tonight. We have Daily Dead's very own Captain, Jonathan James. How you doing, Jonathan?
I am good. I am excited to watch this movie, which I have not seen since theaters.
We have Derek Anderson. How you doing, Derek?
Doing well. Happy to be here. And I know you kind of implied that I may or may not be sacrificed tonight, so we shall see. And I'm just kind of ready for anything.
Well, that really depends on you, doesn't it, Derek?
Tell me what to do so I don't die.
And making her Twitch watch party debut, we have Tamika Jones. How you doing, Tamika?
Woo! I'm great. And yes, this is a pajama top.
That's the way to do it. Outstanding.
Hey, that's what I should have done. We missed you, so we're happy to have you here.
Yes.
Oh, I'm happy to be here too. Thank you.
Tamika was a last-minute addition. We were kind of getting things prepped in the group chat, and all of a sudden we got a little message for Tamika. Hey, is it too late to join you fellas tonight? It is never too late for you, Tamika. I am very glad you are here.
Ooh, thank you.
So for those who are unfamiliar with our watch party process, thanks to the Twitch algorithm, we do need to have this be a thing where everybody's watching separately on their own platforms. If we start streaming something through this Twitch feed, we will get kicked out pretty quickly. So the Wicker Man remake, didn't see a lot of free options in terms of being able to stream it. I'm renting it on Vudu. I believe Jonathan did a Amazon Prime purchase. Probably, any way you can find it. I'm sure some of you have it on hard copy at home. If you're watching it that way, that's probably fine.
I now own this, Brian. I now own a copy of this.
We were talking. Yeah, we were talking beforehand, like how many gem movies that Jonathan now owns because of these watch parties.
Alien Resurrection and all of the Hellraiser, what do you call it, DTV movies. Yeah.
So we are queued up at 0. So for anybody who is following along, we're going to do a countdown from 3 and then we'll hit play. Everybody ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hey.
Okay. Warner Brothers. Okay.
And for anybody wondering, we are watching the unrated version. If you're not, I don't think it's going to make like a huge difference. But I if I'm going to watch this, I do want to see it in all of its wacky glory because I actually haven't seen this version. I have seen the original. I've never seen this the whole way through. I have seen all of the compilations where we just get to see all of the really over-the-top wacky moments with Nicolas Cage. So I feel like I've seen like the best of hits, but I'm interested to see what it's going to be like watching it from beginning to end. Jonathan, I believe you said you saw this in theaters when it first came out?
I did. I saw it in 2006. And I haven't seen the unrated version. I don't remember it enough to know what the differences are. But I did want to say, and I was saving it for us officially recording this, that when you messaged me you said, do you want to have a Twitch stream for the Wicker Man? And I got really excited. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do the Wicker Man. You never said it was a 2006 version until I saw your article copy. And I'm like, oh shit. And I was so I even told Christy, I was like, yeah, I haven't seen it in a little bit. You know, it's one of my favorite movies. And like, I'm so excited. Like, we're going to Twitch stream for us, think about all the research I was going to do. And I was going to talk about like, you know, how this was like a definitive like folk horror movie and like Christopher Lee's favorite movie. And no. And then it was this one.
I'm just picturing your face looking at the copy that I sent you, just like, man. Well, I'm glad you decided to still participate, Jonathan.
Oh yeah.
Derek, you're a first timer with this one too, right?
Yeah, this is my first time watching it all the way through. I definitely have gone on YouTube over the years and looked up specific scenes that may or may not involve bees and honey and bear suits, just to get a sense of how outrageous Cage went with this role and just to see kind of what the whole vibe was. But I have a really distinct memory, though, of when this came out in theaters. I remember I was in my English class in 10th grade, and like this movie had just come out at the beginning of the school year, and my English teacher, she had gone to see it, and then like on Monday the students were asking her, well, how was it? And this was back when Cage was still kind of king at the time, like before the Cage-assance that we've had recently, where people have begun to reappreciate him. But he was coming off of National Treasure. He was kind of the blockbuster king at the time. And this was like the first movie I remember someone being disappointed in a Nicolas Cage film, because my teacher was like, yeah, it just was not that great. And I was like, wait, a Nicolas Cage movie that wasn't great? You know, so that was kind of a shocker to me at the time. So I do have vivid memories of this coming out and like the reaction being different than what people expected.
As a response to that story, Pop Culture Void says, oh my God, you are a literal child, Derek.
This happens so much on the podcast. So much.
Yeah, he regularly makes us feel like dust. So thank you for doing that once again, Derek, and thank you for including the audience in feeling old now as well.
It's the least I can do. No.
Yeah, I was excited for this one. I mean, like I said, I love the original, so I was like, Nicolas Cage remake. Like, I was excited.
Wicked Kitten 13 making a grand entrance with bees. Welcome, Wicked Kitten.
Bees! My eyes! My eyes!
So, Tamika, have you seen this one before? The original one?
Oh, yes. I've seen both.
Okay.
And I have I'm kind of nervous to say this, but I feel like I'm in the trust tree, so.
Of course.
I like both films equally.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, to each their own. Yeah.
You know, for different reasons. But no, I watched this movie quite a bit. And like Jonathan, I own it.
That's funny.
Yeah, but you owned it before. You didn't buy it for the sake of doing this event.
And we'll never watch it again, probably.
No.
But here we see this is what kind of kicks everything off. This is what gets Nicolas Cage in the headspace we will see shortly. Is this pivotal moment.
Well, I'm
not even mocking it. It really is.
I really appreciate the foreshadowing here about the person trapped in the fiery contraption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is cinema, is what this is.
Right.
I love the confused look on this girl's face.
She
like,
looks just vaguely annoyed.
Yeah. Oh. Or maybe this is like preparation for Ghost Rider. Wait, when did that?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
With like the whole leather outfit and everything like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first Nick Cage Ghost Rider, I think, came out 1 year after this, so it was also foreshadowing that, apparently.
Nailed that. Nailed it.
Yeah, and also just a very intense action sequence there too, where they're actually like filming. You know, it's still that age of movies at the time where they're okay, we're going to do a real cars when we stage this action set piece and everything. So it definitely is pretty interesting how it just goes right into it. It kind of reminds me of like the car accident at the beginning of Disturbia, where it just really goes for the jugular right away.
Yes.
Man, we're really
That is
pulling.
intense, yeah.
We're really pulling from the aughts with tonight's episode.
I've got an aughts attitude tonight.
Yeah.
True story. I've never seen Disturbia.
What?
I think I've
Didn't
only
see
seen.
it.
I think I've only seen bits and pieces.
I saw it and I'm like, I saw the trailer. I'm like, it looks a lot like Rear Window, so I thought I would be okay not seeing it. And it might be a great movie, but at the time, that's why I skipped it.
And written by Christopher Landon too, so it's it's a great script.
It still tickles me that there was a point where Jonathan thought we were going to be having like a really in-depth conversation about folk horror, and now we're talking about Disturbia.
It's like teen. It is. It's like teen Rear Window. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, and Pop Culture Void said it basically was Rear Window. So yeah, so I don't know. It didn't interest me that much when I had seen the trailer. I mean, I'd watch it. It hasn't come up.
It's like Fright Night, but without the vampires.
Also that, yes.
So yes, Rear Window.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how critics described Rear Window.
Right.
Fright Night.
It's like a vampire movie without the vampires.
Decades before Fright Night was released.
Well, now I just like picturing Tom Holland watching Rear Window and going like, this is pretty good, but you know what it needs? Vampires.
Vampires.
So this is pretty interesting because like when you're remaking like there's a like remaking Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, like The Thing, like there's a certain like, what do you call it? Like marketability to the name. It's kind of interesting that they're like, we're gonna remake The Wicker Man, because I mean it's a huge movie, and especially in Europe, definitely it has a cult following, but it's not like every horror fan had seen the original. So it was kind of interesting that they kind of ran to remake this one with such a big budget. The budget was like $40 million. I understand why you may want to remake it. I just am surprised that you get $40 million to remake it. This is when, when movies didn't have the kind of like Blumhouse budgets that they have now, which actually helps horror movies become more profitable.
And spoiler alert, it did not make its budget back. I think it made like 38 and change.
Yeah, but you're not counting DVD sales, so you never know.
Oh, that's true.
And I'm laughing, but I'm also serious.
No, like for real. Like it probably like killed on DVD.
No, DVD was huge, and those sales numbers aren't always revealed or like combined. So, maybe it did make its money back. Sometimes movies found their footing on DVD.
And I was reading up on this. Apparently, this came out in 2006, but it was in the works from like starting in like the 90s. And while this was going on, apparently there was also the original director and Christopher Lee wanted to do some kind of like a soft remake of the 1973 movie that was a little bit more kind of in line with the 1973 version. It just never really panned out. And then this just kind of took over and subsumed it, and is also based off of, in addition to the original movie, it incorporates a 1967 novel called Ritual.
With a wildly different ending. Spoiler alert.
Because in a lot of ways, this is a wildly different movie. This is very different from what you see in 1973. Like there are definitely folk horror elements, but Jonathan, like you were saying, 1973's The Wicker Man is almost the quintessential folk horror movie. That clash of the modern and the pastoral. And this is like, from what I gather from like the super cuts of just Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage, some of those elements are in here, but they are drowned out in all of the Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I mean, well, the original's so interesting because it really like this wasn't the type of movie that you'd get from anybody,
Mhm.
and they do a really good job of kind of setting up this world. It's essentially a murder mystery that kind of results in this, so nobody knows where it's going, and then but things slowly get creepy. I mean, basically they created a subgenre onto their own, which many people still take. I mean, like Kill List, for example, kind of does that thing where it's like, hey, you think it's this movie, but then it switches. Of course, other movies had their own switch, but to be able to kind of combine this with like the like I said, the kind of folk worship and the music, and really, like I said, take its time with pacing. It's not a movie that's in a rush to get anywhere. It's not a movie that's overly gory or gratuitous, and it just really kind of slowly builds and gives you this false sense of security that everything's going to be okay until it's not. It really is like I said, a cool movie.
Yeah, I think what works so well about the 1973 Wicker Man is that, oh God, sorry, I was just watching Nicolas Cage have this really weird hallucination where he's on a ferry and he sees a small girl on the deck, and it just gets hit. She gets hit by a truck on the deck of a ferry. I'm confused. Like, I get it that it's a hallucination, but yeah, that was really stretching for that jump scare, I guess. So as I was saying, the original is so effective because it's only a horror movie in the last 5 minutes. You know, it lulls you into this sense of just this like pastoral, almost trippy, almost like a hippie movie for most of its runtime. And then when you see where it's going, and like just the pit of your stomach is like, oh God, oh no, oh please no. It's such a stark left turn. It still makes sense for the rest of the movie, but that pivot, I think, it just drops you off the cliff.
Yeah, yeah, and also too, I mean, the movie has like musical scenes. It has dance. It has Christopher Lee. It kind of has everything you want. And Christopher Lee, as I mentioned, he did say it was like his favorite performance. And they did get back together. They did sequelize it. The Wicker Tree came out in the 2010s.
Really?
2011?
I knew, around there, because it was one of the first things we covered on Daily Dead. But yeah, they did end up making it. It was a dark comedy, and definitely taking it in a different direction than the original Wicker Man, and didn't really kind of live up to people's expectations. But it was, like I said, Robin Hardy did get back to the director's chair for it, and Christopher Lee did have a cameo.
Pop Culture Void brings up an interesting point in terms of the little girl showing up everywhere. It's kind of like Don't Look Now, you know, the little girl in the red dress popping up everywhere.
Yeah. That is a really good point. Yeah, that imagery that keeps cycling. I
feel like this is going to be one of those movies where it keeps suffering in comparison to better movies, because Don't Look Now is absolutely amazing. That's such a great. I think also 1973, if I remember correctly. Definitely early 70s. Pop Culture Void. See, I've seen films.
So, like was it the Hellraiser Hellseeker episode that you and I did, Brian, where we just kept talking about other movies that came out around that same time period?
Basically I wanted to pretend I wasn't watching that movie, so I just talked to you about other movies that I actually liked,
including the Mayhem insurance commercials, because the guy who plays Mayhem was the lead actor in Hellseeker.
I would watch 2 hours of Dean Winters playing Mayhem rather than watch Hellseeker ever again.
I don't remember what movie that is until you mention it. I the titles I confuse, like Hellseeker and not Hell World. That's the one I know. I don't even remember.
Deader kind of comes.
Deader. Yeah. Those ones confuse me as to which one's which.
My brain had finally been pushing it out of my head, so when Derek brought it up, I had to like go back into like the memory banks and remember which one it was. Then I did. Now I'm sad. So thank you, Derek.
Yep. That's my new mission. Is I always have to remind you of these things.
Pop Culture Void. Pop Culture Void says Cage's dye job in this is particularly offensive. I don't know. I don't know if anything's ever going to beat Ghost Rider in terms of like bad hair work for Nicolas Cage.
That Johnny Cage look. Oh, I'm sorry, not Johnny Cage. I'm thinking Mortal Kombat.
I was waiting.
I was just letting that sit. I was just letting it float.
I wasn't sure if there was going to be a follow up. And the funny thing is that like it's not like we're on a podcast. Like people can see me just be like,
yeah, I really know my stuff when I'm mixing up Mortal Kombat with Ghost Rider.
But I thought you might have meant that he had a Johnny Cage like haircut. So I was like, I could. Yeah, I don't remember the movie well enough, but maybe he does.
So Tamika, you said you like both the original and the remake equally. They're, I'm still watching this one, so I don't know for sure, but I get the sense that they are very different movies. So what do you appreciate about this one versus what you appreciate about the original?
Well, I mean, the acting is a lot better in the original. I mean, again, I don't think that Nicolas Cage is a bad actor. I think he just makes kind of like bizarre choices, but I kind of appreciate that he at least commits. So I don't think he's a bad actor, but I mean, I'm going to use the word. There's gravitas, with the original. And I think there's very something to appreciate about that. And I think what they're trying to say about this like, well, yeah, I guess they are. They're a cult. They're a cult. But with the message, I guess, the messages are different. This is just, the Nicolas Cage one is just very campy and goofy because he just makes these like really, like just now, okay, he's talking to these women and like, I guess trying to, like introduce himself, get acclimated. And he's just so like weird and twitchy. And he's making all these like expressions. It's like, what are you doing? It's just, I don't know. It's just the most bizarre, entertaining thing. So I think this one is when you just want to pop it on in the background, something fun to kind of start your day off on a good foot. But the original is when you really want to appreciate the acting, the direction, the message, like, does that make sense?
No,
like, I guess they like,
absolutely.
They scratch different itches. They scratch the same itch, but like, you get like different results.
I mean, honestly, it's a different experience, and I get what you mean. Like, that's partially why I didn't want to watch the original for this, because that's, for me, that's not a movie like you talk over. It's,
right.
It's not a party movie. It's not something where it's like you just have it casually on in the background. That's one that just kind of like sucks you in. And one where you're just going to, like, I was honestly worried if we did that, most of the Twitch feed or the party would all be us just like looking at the screen. So, I figured this would be a better one for us to be able to kind of like talk over and chuckle at. I'm sure that we probably would have gotten a pretty good amount of mileage about talking about like folk horror and what that means to the history of it. Because, I say we would be looking at it, but we're a bunch of chatty Cathys, so I'm sure we would find stuff to talk about over it. I just figured this one was better suited for a convo.
Yes, very much so. Like, here we go. This is, I love this. I love this scene so much. Oh God.
I do love the message that we're kind of getting here, is that, like, this is what you get when you have an area that's isolated and run by all women.
Yeah. Although I feel like this film is very much more like I don't know, women bad is the message I get. It's like a weird, that doesn't really mesh well with me. Yeah. I feel like this one is like, it's all a bunch of women, so like clearly like man haters or something. And it's like, 2006, my God.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't age well.
I mean, it wasn't right back then.
No,
Oh
not at all.
no, like it didn't feel good back then either.
And I say back then, it was like
It was a different time, 17 years ago.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like, oh yeah, 2006 was 17 years ago. It just doesn't like it still feels like that. Oh, it must have come out, around 10 years ago when you think of movies from the 2000s, and now you're like, oh, wait a minute.
That actually just hurt
Oh God, they're almost 20 years old.
Yeah, that just hurt my heart just to do that math and realize that we're watching a movie from the late 2000s that is almost 20 years old.
It's almost 20 years old.
The problem is that COVID threw off my count for everything. 'Cause it's like, I always think it's like minus 3 years. So everything is just like, well, it's really that long? Like, I saw you like 5 years ago was the last time we hung out.
Pop culture void says it was a different time. Derek was in preschool.
Yes, I had my Wicker Man toy for my Happy Meal.
It was a little chicken nugget that you lit on fire. Yeah.
McDonald's is really reaching out at that point, but oh, the good old day. No. That's why I got honey for my chicken nuggets back then, I guess.
Did you only get honey, or did you do multiple sauces?
No,
I had one sauce per nugget, and I rotated them.
I would mix the barbecue sauce and the honey and make my own like homemade honey barbecue sauce.
Oh. No, I had the sweet and sour, the barbecue, and the honey, and then I would dip one. And then, of course, the best nugget is the boot nugget. Everybody agrees with this, right?
The Italy
it's
nugget,
the boot.
yeah.
Because that's a scooper. Nugget. You get like 2 or 3 boots in a box. And yeah, so it's all about the boot. Honestly, I wish I could just request the boots because the other ones are not as good.
Oh my gosh, the boot.
Pop culture void, this is unacceptable sauce etiquette. I will not be talked down to by someone from a country who thinks beans and toast is a good thing.
But for pop culture void, which sauce etiquette is it? Is Derek's unacceptable or is mine?
Oh, good question.
Or both.
I mean, no, but it's you. It makes sense. You use the one that like it's kind of like a little it's a nature spoon. You just use it for dipping. Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's one sauce only. Exactly. Yeah, you don't mix sauces.
So basically, she's going in on you, Derek.
I can respect that.
What if it's 2 sauces that like mix really well together, like barbecue sauce and honey mustard?
No, I can't mix them. Yeah, I'm on that. They can't touch on the same plate. Like they gotta stay in their containers.
Is this kind of going back to your same weird cereal thing that you have?
Oh, don't. What is the weird cereal thing? Is it that I don't like the cereal milk? Is that it?
Yeah. That's a weird cereal thing, my friend.
I don't know. I don't like the milk. It's because the milk is, by the time you finish your cereal, unless you go really quickly, it's warm cereal milk. Maybe if it was cold cereal milk, and even then it's like so sugary, like it's just not for me.
Sugary cereal milk is why you eat the cereal.
I don't like things that are too sweet.
That's why
I'm
you
sorry.
eat the cereal.
Yeah, I don't eat a lot of cereal. That's just me.
Yeah, same. No, well, that's not true. I like frosted mini wheats.
Oh yeah.
I'll have Count Chocula a couple times during October. I feel like I have to do it. But that's about all the cereal I eat in my life.
By the way, I do think
I like pop culture boy. It's like, how slow are you eating cereal? I don't know,
right?
When I
the fact that it's warm is what's throwing me off. Like how,
you set it on a windowsill.
I never questioned the refrigerator setting when I was younger. So maybe my parents had the refrigerator not as cold as it should be. Maybe I took too long. I didn't know there was no internet. I didn't know what acceptable cereal eating length was. I didn't know this.
Well, let's just ballpark. Are we talking 30 minutes, 45 minutes that it's taking you to get through this bowl of cereal, or?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm talking like 15 minutes, less. I don't know.
Even that.
Ooh.
Wow. If I got a bowl of cereal in front of me, it's got 5, maybe 10.
Oh no,
tops.
I might have been watching TV. I feel like I didn't eat it quickly unless I had to be somewhere. So, yeah.
Also,
Oh, so wait, you're like leaving it unattended? You're like, you like leave it and then go get up, do stuff, and then come back to it?
I don't remember enough. Probably not. These days, yes, I leave food all over the place, half eaten.
Oh.
We just got another image there of the girl being hit by
did he have a flashback of
on
his
the
hallucination?
ferry. He had a flashback to the hallucination on the ferry.
Yes, yeah.
So I think
I just feel like that truck could just pop up anywhere at this point.
honestly, I do think this is very telling in terms of like the how compelling or not compelling this movie is by the fact that we are talking about like chicken nugget and cereal quirks rather than what's going on in the movie.
To be fair to this movie, I think it really doesn't start to get like really wild until good like second act.
Yeah, I do remember liking the
I think
ending,
so.
but I guess we'll find in the unrated edition maybe there's more of an ending, I guess is what I heard. But I remember liking the ending.
And how
Like when no, that's towards the end when he well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't want to spoil.
Yeah, we'll see it soon.
I love too how Nicolas Cage in this one he's very kind of sassy like right off the bat, and he just gets more and more annoyed throughout the movie. Like his patience just is like he's already just has no patience when he arrives on the island, and it just only gets worse from there.
Yeah. And he's like, hello, weirdos. And it just gets worse from there.
It's not exactly subtle.
Also, Wicked Kitten 13 appreciates the cereal chat because she didn't realize till she got here that she doesn't actually have a way to access this movie. So I guess she's here for the cereal.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I found this on YouTube after searching like everywhere. I'm like, oh, come through YouTube.
Oh no, Tamika, we certainly would not suggest that people watch YouTube versions of any of the movies that we're watching on here.
Oh, no, I rented this.
Absolutely. Yep.
I did. I did.
This is going to turn
For
into Weird Who's on
$2.99.
First session. So yes.
It was worth
It's like-
$3.
I was like, wait, what is happening? Did you see how I'm like, what do we do here?
No, it was $9.99 because I bought it.
Everybody out here buying the Wicker Man remake. There are rental options.
No, you know what? I run into the problem where I'm like, if I rent this, I'm going to have to rent it again, and then it's going to be more than it would cost to buy it. In this case, I'd have to watch it 3 times, but I'm like, there's going to be one time, and I end up buying them.
So are you going to like torture yourself through watching this 2 more times just so it pays for itself?
Oh, I usually don't do that, and that's a problem. It doesn't happen. Like Alien Resurrection probably won't get watched again.
I do
but
feel
you
like
have it though.
I do feel like so far Alien Resurrection is the one you would be most likely to go back to because it's either that or we're talking about like the DTV versions of Hellraiser, and I just don't see that happening. Oh, he's thinking about it.
I don't know.
Man, were you just like caught up in the festivities last time in terms of how kind you were being to Resurrection?
Oh, I don't like when I went like this. It seemed like I was lying. No, I really did enjoy watching it. But you know how Tamika said about like those like comfort movies while you're working?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can throw on a Hellraiser movie. It doesn't matter which one. And I could just let it run. So I might be more likely to go to like Deader than I am to Alien Resurrection.
Are you out of your
Or like the
mind?
time travel one. What's the time travel one called again, Brian?
The time travel
The one, not time travel, but there's like
Bloodline, the one where it takes place in 3 different time frames.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's the 4th one.
Oh, well,
No, that one I'll defend.
what?
It's ridiculous and very flawed, but I don't know. I feel like Hellraiser Bloodline and Alien Resurrection are very similar in terms of being like man, they could have done this better, but hey, it's not boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
This,
Okay.
however,
Oh,
because right now he's complaining about a lack of honey.
I love this tavern setting too. Like it's such a cozy, like cabin-esque tavern that he's in, and there's so many scenes that take place in it. But it's like when you have the ketchup and you're trying to get a little bit of ketchup out, and he's just very frustrated.
What does that look like again, Derek? Where you're frustrated trying to get the ketchup out?
no, don't do it, Derek. Don't do it again.
Oh man.
I was watching the movie and I actually didn't see the first one.
Well, show him again, Derek,
Like,
just in case he missed
Here,
it.
let me practice with this open beer bottle next to me that still has beer in it, and I'll. Oh, you got me again, Brian.
Like, wow.
No, then I'm gonna open up the computer, and that's gonna be like a GIF out there tomorrow. So,
Pop Culture Void brings up a very good point. I can clip the hell out of this.
oh,
That's right.
It wouldn't be the first time. That's right.
Yeah, we've clipped duck faces in the past, and now we'll do suggestive clips of Derek showing what it's like to get the last little bit of ketchup out of the bottle.
Oh, the things that happen when watching the Wicker Man remake.
Oh God. Well, this took a turn.
This did. And honestly, I
blame it on the bees.
I think in terms of Wicker Man remakes, like Midsummer is the I don't know, is the kind of maybe the closest spiritual remake to the Wicker Man, or Midsommar, depending on how you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard both. It's like the witch.
I would agree with that.
The Vivitch, yeah.
I've heard both ways.
Yeah. But I think Midsummer is definitely very close to the Wicker Man.
But it did not have Lily Sobieski like this movie does.
True.
Remember her? Like, she was really big in like the mid 2000s, and like I feel like we have not heard from her in like 15 years.
I think she like retired from acting. I think like she became a parent, and then she was like, "I've had enough of this."
And she left all of this, huh?
Oh yeah.
Wicked Kitten says that Ari Aster makes me need therapy. I didn't see Beau is Afraid. I wanted to see it. I haven't seen it yet. I hear it's super. I've seen it super polarizing. But yeah, I want to see it.
I have no interest. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to see Ari Aster do like whimsical. I don't know why I've been doing like the quote fingers all night tonight.
Air quotes.
I don't know if it's because like we're now on a visual medium, and I want people to see me while I'm doing this. But I'm gonna try and cut back on that because it's really annoying.
It's okay because at least you're moving. Sometimes I'm just like. And I forget that we're on camera.
Yeah. It's like, Jonathan, are you
we don't know if the
buffering,
screen
bud?
froze.
Yeah. Sometimes I just don't move. I just stare off.
Jonathan, buddy.
Yeah, see, exactly. You're moving. You're like, I'm just like.
I'm a dynamic screen presence.
Yeah.
You have to talk with your hands a little bit, you know?
Yeah, pop culture voice. I just assume you're frozen 90% of the time. Really, that's what it is. I barely move.
The Jonathan cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we're talking, he's up in the kitchen getting another drink.
Right.
Okay.
Another water.
This is it right here.
This is like the turning point where
Is this the pivot?
This is the turning point.
okay.
Oh no.
All right, everybody. We're 35 minutes in. You can start paying attention to the movie now. Actually,
this would make a great Halloween costume to go as like Nick Cage in a suit with that photograph just going up to everybody. Have you seen this girl?
and then
it helps if you actually look at the photograph.
And then like you leave the party and come back like 15 minutes later in a bear costume and just start punching people in the face.
So it's like a 2-part costume.
Yes. Yeah. Daywear, nightwear.
Now, this is one of the scenes that I looked up on you. I think someone had made like a montage of the greatest moments in this movie, and this was one of the first scenes I remember.
Yeah.
He did have that entrance. Phallic symbol. School's really changed since I was a kid.
Can you imagine one room, all of you packed?
Yeah, like old time schoolhouses have always kind of creeped me out a little bit. The idea that you just spend like your entire day in one room with just
right
like
there.
Yeah.
And it's like K through 12, like the Little House on the Prairie days where it's like, oh, okay. The teacher has a lot of different grades to teach at once.
How do you build a curriculum around that wide range of kids?
I'm sorry they don't have a bigger school and more teachers. I mean, they got to work with what they got.
Public schools, am I right?
Mm-hmm. Now Cage is the teacher.
By the way, did he just come in and erase like half of her chalkboard?
Yes.
To put his name up there.
Yeah.
So is he like, I haven't been like paying super attention. Like, is that one area where it's kind of similar to the original where he's supposed to be kind of a pud, where like he's just like a little milquetoast and like not super likable?
I don't know if he was ever not likable in the original. I think he was a little, like, he was just supposed to be like
he was a dork.
like an everyman. He certainly was, but I don't know if he wasn't likable. He was just average.
Yeah.
Or he was mid, if you want to use younger words.
Oh, that's good. Mid.
Sorry, I use it.
Hello, fellow teens.
I knew it.
Hello, kids.
I knew as soon as I said it, you'd all be like, what?
As the kids say, mid.
So you got your skateboard with you right there.
I really miss not having Scott on for this, just to watch how confused he would have gotten.
I remember when I told everybody what TikTok was on a Corpse Club episode, and I had to explain how it works and what it was.
That was a moment. That was a very pivotal moment.
And like, there's this thing called TikTok.
I still hadn't gotten over Vine shutting down like 5 years earlier. So
yeah, I don't know what I said to Derek. Oh, we were at Overlook, and I said to Derek that a movie was a banger, and him and Chris here both like, what?
See, you're hip. You're very hip.
No, I think you mean to say he dislocated his hip while he was saying that.
Yeah, just threw something out. Love to. I was looking through the ledger, and like it's such a such a subtle way to try and cross out the name. Like it's the thinnest like mark, like you can very obviously read the name. Like not very much of an attempt was made to blur out the name there.
Wait, there was something about bees on the chalkboard, and I missed it.
Another foreshadowing moment, though.
Oh,
so earlier he squashed the bee, then
yeah.
he erases the information about bees on the chalkboard. So he's very anti-bee.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, whereas the original was more about the clash of Christian values versus pagan values. This is really about bee conservation.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is also unfortunately a timely thing, because we do need more bees, but
Yeah, we do. Honeybees, bumblebees.
But now we have murder bees, apparently.
Wait, murder? Oh, yeah. Yeah. What happened to them? It was like a thing, and people were talking about it.
It was hornets,
forever,
right?
and then
it was hornets.
it was so 2019,
Yeah,
you know.
so 2019.
The pandemic hit the murder bee population pretty hard, I think.
I'm half convinced the murder bees might have been like Transformers in disguise. Maybe they were like Decepticons, and They were just so like futuristic looking. I don't know. Maybe that's just because I grew up watching like Beast Wars and like, I'm probably overthinking it, but
Well, that's certainly a theory.
I love
I mean,
that.
I don't know how
It's weird.
scientific that is, but oh,
I do enjoy that we're starting to see him getting like progressively more and more like manic and obsessed with this.
Mhm.
Yeah,
yes.
Tamika, you'd mentioned like, you kind of to you start to see him get into some of his Nick Cage antics in the classroom scene. I feel like that's just going to
Yes.
continue to ramp up.
And it's gonna it's gonna hit a peak.
yeah, it's amazing. Like the tone of the movie, it's very interesting because Cage is certainly playing things very like in your face, very which we would see him do in future movies after this. But I don't know if we were entirely, at least like in his more mainstream movies at the time, it was just it almost seemed like kind of another turning point, even though he had done stuff, like Wild at Heart previously and adaptation. But it's just interesting, especially for like a horror remake, that he was tonally, the movie is almost two different things at the same time.
That's a good question. Do you think that this movie kind of marks the start of his like capital R reputation in terms of his acting style?
I think so, because I feel like it was because people were used to seeing him like a National Treasure, and he had done a lot of really successful things, and he was still doing some out there stuff. But I feel like this and the movies that we got like the next 10 to 15 years after this, it felt like he was starting to get more into like pushing the envelope with certain performances. And even like the second Ghost Rider movie, where they're really kind of letting him do his cageism. It kind of is interesting. And now I think people look back at that and appreciate it more, but at the time it was maybe a little jarring, or people just weren't expecting that as much.
Yeah, I mean, he's never been super subtle. I mean,
right.
He came out swinging with Moonstruck, and I don't think he's really let up since. I mean, obviously he's been in stuff before then, but I think that was where he like really kind of like started with his scenery chewing. And yeah, I mean, I think it's all about like with Nicolas Cage, it's just the discussion about like he needs to be in the right movie and he needs to be channeled the right way. So like a movie like Moonstruck, a movie like Raising Arizona, where you kind of want something that's almost surreally off the charts, he's perfect. Like, and more recently, obviously Mandy, for me, that is one of the best horror movies of the 21st century. And he carries that entire thing. But if it's in the wrong context, it's just not going to work very well.
And he's great in Renfield.
Yeah, he's so great in this.
Yeah,
which is still wild to me to think that was the first mainstream studio movie he's been in. I think they said in like 10 years.
Yeah. And then
yes.
also Pop Culture Void also mentioned that Vampire's Kiss is the most bonkers performance. I agree.
Yep.
I mean, I think it comes down to, I think it really comes down to the director that he works with. And you see this with other performers, is that if you get a big name performer and they're in a smaller budget movie with maybe a director, filmmakers who grew up with them, they don't overly direct them. They kind of let the actor or the performer do their thing. And I think that's how you get these performances. Whereas earlier in his career, he was working on these movies where the directors were significantly coaching him. Hey, how about you do it this way? How about you pull back a little? And that's what they were going with. Whereas I think you see something like Willy's Wonderland, where it's just like, we are, and not in a bad way, but like, we're happy we got you. We're looking for this type of performance. Go wild, have fun. Yeah, which is a little different. And I think that is probably fun as an actor, I guess, depending on the actor, right? Because you get to do whatever you want, but then also you may not be getting some of those restrictions to help kind of create that cohesive vision.
And that's not to say that Nicolas Cage can't do subtle, because Pop Culture Void brought this up, and I was going to say Pig. If anybody hasn't seen that, it is like surprisingly phenomenal movie and very different than what you're expecting. You know, the premise of that is like he plays a former like big name chef who's a recluse, and he has this pig that does his truffle hunting, and he is like very attached to this pig, and someone takes it. And I'm just like, okay, is this going to be like this weird like low budget John Wick but with Nicolas Cage that's going to go way over the top? And it is a very odd movie, but it is a very restrained movie, and that includes Nicolas Cage. So, you know, again, like within the right, if you have someone that has the right vision and can kind of give those appropriate guide rails for where that performance is going to go, like he gives some of the best stuff you'll ever see. And then there's this.
And I think this too, I mean, this is just it's a tonal mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
And you have it, I mean, it's frequent where you will see a movie where somebody is just they think they're in a different movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, and in some cases that's just communication, where it's like they saw things one way, rest of the cast or the filmmaker saw things another way, and they don't realize they're in the same film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that'll happen with writers, screenwriters and directors. They'll have different interpretations of the material.
Yeah, and just a few years after this, I loved how he played kind of like an Adam West type character with his portrayal of Big Daddy and Kick-Ass, where he's very much, he's still over the top, but also very restrained in a way too. And it's just really, I thought he was used perfectly in that movie. And then, yeah, you mentioned Willy's Wonderland, where he like doesn't have any speaking lines in it. And he's essentially playing this character who's like, everything is through his physical actions, like his entire performance. So
yeah.
It's really, it's fascinating. I think he definitely has one of the most impressively dynamic filmographies, or where you can look and be like, how many other actors take this many chances throughout their career, like consistently from like the 80s to the 90s, the 2000s and beyond. And just thinking of how much he had done before this movie even is really impressive.
It also makes me think of that episode of Community where there's an entire class that's based off of the question, is Nicolas Cage a good actor or a bad actor? And
I forgot about that one.
And Abed has like a full mental breakdown trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean, and I would lean towards good actor. Mm-hmm. I think the reason is because he's self-aware. He can throttle back anytime he wants. He is intentionally bringing a certain energy to a certain performance.
Yeah, and it does make you wonder to what degree, again, it goes back to like, if someone is saying like, you know, give me the full Mandy, like when he's doing Willy's Wonderland or something along those lines, then like he might be just giving the director exactly what they want. If that doesn't wind up working, then that's not really on him, because he can clearly do what's asked of him in a role.
And acting styles change. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had people who were like, everybody had a transatlantic accent for decades. that was the norm. So, you know, you can break norms, and I think he has fun. He has fun doing that. That's where his challenge is.
Mm-hmm. It does make you wonder to what degree, again, it goes back to like, if someone is saying like, you know, give me the full Mandy, like when he's doing Willy's Wonderland or something along those lines, then like he might be just giving the director exactly what they want. If that doesn't wind up working, then that's not really on him, because he can clearly do what's asked of him in a role.
And acting styles change. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had people who were like, everybody had a transatlantic accent for decades. that was the norm. So, you know, you can break norms, and I think he has fun. He has fun doing that. That's where his challenge is.
Mm-hmm. But I would agree. I would say good actor, because he, you know, yes, he's got a lot of duds, but I mean, I think that was more circumstantial than anything else. You know, he was, he is a good actor who, for a long time, did not say no to projects.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a lot of like debt and, you know, bills to pay. I don't begrudge anybody, you know, for that. Like, what is it called? Port of Call, New Orleans, or something.
Oh,
Bad Lieutenant?
Port of Call. Yeah,
He said that was one of his favorite
that's what
movies
it
he
is.
made. Yeah.
because that was
Really?
Werner Herzog, wasn't it? Like that was
Yeah.
that was supposed to be
Yep.
surreal and like. I haven't seen that one, but from what I gather, everything in that seems like just wackadoo is deliberate. Like that's what Herzog, as a filmmaker, it strikes me that that's what he would have been going for.
Yeah, he called out his favorite performances. It was interesting. It was Pig, Mandy, Bringing Out the Dead, Bad Lieutenant, and Joe.
Ooh.
So
Oh,
it was.
Yeah,
it was kinda interesting.
Scorsese's Bringing Out the Dead, which
Yeah.
it's amazing how many people he's worked with.
Oh yeah.
mhm.
I always forget. There's always like one or two. You're like, oh yeah, that one and that one. There's just such a huge body of work there.
Mhm.
And I just rented from the library actually the movie Mom and Dad. I'm excited to watch that. I never got around to watching that.
Oh, that one
with
was
Selma Blair, and so I'm excited to see that one.
I actually vaguely remember being a little disappointed in that one for not being as over the top as it could have been. Like,
Interesting.
Like, don't get
Okay.
me wrong, it's pretty wacky. It's an over the top premise, but it was kind of like Cocaine Bear for me, where it was just like they didn't quite go for it enough. But it's fun.
Yep.
It's fun. Definitely check it out. Well, I mean, you rented it, so I'm guessing you will.
Oh yeah. I don't want to get that overdue library book, so
Yeah,
or in
Pop
this
Culture
case,
Void
movie, so.
said it is silly, in capital silly.
All right. So
I
we
also
know-
realized too that Zachary Arthur from Chucky's in that one, so I'm excited to dive into that.
oh yeah, he's the little brother in that one. All right, so we know what Nicolas Cage's favorite performances are. I want to go around the horn and get what your favorite Cage performance is. We will start with Tamika.
Oh, that is. I don't know if I could do it. Ugh.
gut instinct, Rorschach test style. Like I put it up. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh, this is so hard. Okay, I'm gonna say now. This is oh god. I mean, there's so many good ones, and I'm about to say Valley Girl, but you know what? It's Valley Girl
All right.
because
That's an
I
awesome
just
one.
really enjoy just early '80s, just romance, teen, just nonsense, and I like his hair in it. It's like.
It's
And
iconic.
actually, yeah. And I think, we were talking about his performances where he's not, like Nicolas Cage. I think Valley Girl is one of them. I mean, there's like little seeds of it sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but like for the most part, I'm like, oh my God, okay, you can be chill. Okay.
All right. As we're going around, I'd be interested to hear from the folks in the chat. What is your favorite Nicolas Cage performance?
Yeah.
But
Somebody
we'll move.
else pick Valley Girl.
Jonathan, how about you?
Oh, it's weird because when I went through two. I haven't seen it in a while, so I think maybe his best might be adaptation, but I would want to rewatch it. So my favorite, just one I enjoy, is I enjoy The Rock. I have so many good memories tied
I forgot about The
that.
Rock.
Yeah.
I completely
Yeah.
forgot about that
So
movie.
good.
It's
So
where
good.
it kind of was his like transition to action hero. He's with Sean Connery, and he's still kind of playing the geeky the geeky FBI agent or scientist. He's one of the two, but he's involved with the FBI. I think he's FBI agent. But it was just kind of interesting seeing him, like I said, kind of play in that world. And it was kind of early Michael Bay where he was a little more restrained there. Ed Harris. I mean, there's a lot of good things about that movie. So.
Oh yeah, The Rock is a good one.
God, I completely forgot about that stretch of Nicolas Cage because I think about early to mid '80s Nicolas Cage. Then I think about like now Nicolas Cage. I forgot there was a stretch where he did The Rock, he did Con Air, he did Face Off, like
Face
Face Off.
Face Off and National Treasure, Ghost Rider. So I mean, he had an action adventure run for.
Yeah, he had a stretch.
Derek, how about you?
This is a really tough one. I probably would have said The Rock as well, but because it was like a three-way tie in my mind, I'm leaning towards Kick-Ass because I just love him as Big Daddy in that movie. And that scene where he's in the warehouse, his like last scene in that movie where he's giving directions to Chloe Grace Moretz and he's literally like
on fire.
And how his voice just keeps changing pitch. Like I thought it was such a great scene and he just really went for it. So I would probably lean towards that, but yeah, The Rock is definitely up there. I think Leaving Las Vegas, what he did in that movie with that, I mean, winning the Oscar for that one, I think I gotta give a shout out to that. But I think for me, it would be if I was not to choose The Rock, it would be Kick-Ass.
Gotcha. Cool. Pop Culture Void said Vampire's Kiss is a fantastic portrayal of somebody completely losing their mind. She also mentions Pig, Bringing Out the Dead, and Face Off. Mine is one that I can't believe nobody has mentioned yet. Raising Arizona is still one of the funniest movies I have ever seen in my life. And High McDonough is, like, for as much as I love Mandy, and that is an all-time movie for me, and Cage's performance is at the center of that. That whole movie is a lot like, it's an experience where it's just all of that comes together for just this really great thing. Raising Arizona, like, he is performing in that movie, and he is so damn funny. Just everything out of his mouth for me makes me laugh. And his chemistry with Holly Hunter in that movie is amazing. And it's such a weird out there comedy. And it's also kind of like one that's from my formative years, because that came out when I was around 5 years old. So that's just one of those ones that I remember as a kid. So yeah, I'm going to have to go with Raising Arizona as my favorite Nick Cage.
Nice.
I haven't seen that one in ages. And then it goes to show, like, we all had different picks, and then it was like, oh, I forgot about that. Like, I mean, his filmography is pretty eclectic and what do you call it? Decade spanning.
Yeah, as prolific as anybody in the bit. Like, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, like, that has done more than him. I don't know, maybe Bruce Willis, because I know he kind of got into the same, like, direct to video kind of stretch where he was just kind of doing anything that he could get the opportunity to. In hindsight, we're kind of seeing that there were probably some more reasons behind that, why he was trying to, like, maybe bank as much as he could while he could. But yeah, it's just Nicolas Cage has done so many movies.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine why he's made so many, like, duds. Air quotes. Yeah, I'm doing it too. Duds.
I've infected you,
because yes, yeah, you did. Because I mean, he's been acting since the 80s. Like, how many people can say that? He's had a long ass career.
Yeah, but I mean, and I would argue that the longer we move away from the movies he's done, the more people aren't going to see them as duds. When I watch a Vincent Price movie, it's a Vincent Price movie. Not like, oh, here's this Vincent Price. I'm like, look at this performance. The movie might not be as good as this other Vincent Price movie I love, but it's Vincent Price, or it's Christopher Lee, who has hundreds of credits, or Peter Cushing, And so I do feel like it's going to be something similar with Nicolas Cage, where someone's going to get introduced to him because of one movie, and then they're just going to go down the rabbit hole and just keep finding Nicolas Cage movies to watch and find something to like.
They're never boring. Like, there's always, because you never know what he's going to do when you're watching it. Like, I remember a movie, Rage, that came out, kind of one of those direct to video movies, and it was still really fun watching just his performance, because he will just go 100 miles an hour, when you least expect it. Kind of like right now when he's running through all these beehives.
I was actually going to say, before he got before the bee chase here, there's something for me that's very silly about a man in a suit riding a bicycle. So watching him do that was just it tickled me.
It's because it looks so warm out there.
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
I would not be wearing the tie, the jacket.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, like, I know
I'm
how
allergic.
A foreshadowing too of his Johnny Blaze performance, where it's not quite the motorcycle yet, but he's on the bicycle and he's kind of working his way towards that Ghost Rider role.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Let me get some proof of concept
footage a screen
while we're
test
making the Wicker Man.
Yeah.
Oh, the little girl's not in there now. What does that mean?
Oh, I don't
Ooh.
know. Yeah, it's also very weird to watch him continue to have these flashbacks, and they're a little bit different every time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know they're playing with the idea of like how reliable is his memory, but it just plays weird.
Yeah, because then it's kind of like, yeah, the unreliable narrator thing that they're going for there. But then I always just expect that truck to come and just right into the scene, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That subtle
right.
touch.
Yeah, here we have Frances Conroy.
I know I love Frances Conroy.
She's great.
She's one of those, like, she looks very familiar. I know I've seen her and stuff. It is escaping me what I've seen her in.
A lot of American Horror Story, which you might not have
That
seen.
is not where I've seen her, because I have not seen any of American Horror
No.
Story.
Did you ever watch 6 Feet Under?
Oh yeah, 6 Feet Under. Yeah.
Maybe that's what I recognize. Like, I don't know. And it's also one of those things where it's like she might look familiar because of all these things that are pop culturally familiar to me, but I haven't actually seen. So I haven't seen 6 Feet Under. I haven't seen American Horror Story, but like I'm sure I've seen like previews and stuff like that where she probably popped up in them.
Okay,
Yeah, she's great.
fair.
Still a little woozy after the bee attack.
Another foreshadowing of they just keep intensifying these bee scenes, building up to one of the most iconic moments. And that one suit, he just has that one that one outfit.
Can you imagine the stink that thing must have on it at this point? Like, Jonathan, you
So
were
much-
saying the idea of like, you know, doing hard work in a suit.
Yeah.
I remember like any time where like when I used to have to commute for work, like on a hot day, the second you start sweating in something like that, it's over. You're just, it's the rest of the day. You're never going to fully cool off again.
Yeah.
And that looks like a pretty thick blazer too. Like it almost looks like a wool blazer or something like that, where it's it's not going to breathe very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have an immersive experience over here because first world problems, but my AC broke. And
Oh, no.
I'm sweating profusely.
So you feel his pain.
I feel his pain, not
Well-
the bee pain, but
Well, I was going to say, just heads up, I have arranged that there's going to be bees released into your room when that scene comes up. This is like
I mean, that would be cool.
this is like a
I would
4D
like
experience, but better.
that. Yeah, I would like that.
So you're going
I'm not-
William
I'm not
Castle
allergic
on
to
us.
Yeah, I'm not allergic to him.
Instead of Spectrovision, it's bee vision.
Oh, I heard some theater. What is it? Music Box in Chicago. They're doing House on Haunted Hill and Emergo with the skeleton. in
Oh,
like
no,
a
really?
couple
Fun.
weeks or like in a week. Yeah, I wanted to drive and go do it. I'm like, I can't.
Was
I
that you
wanted
saying, was it Overlook or somewhere brought back the Tingler?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. They had the vibrating seats and actor in the crowd that died. I don't even know if they passed out. I think they died, and paramedics showed up and carried them away.
Oh, yep. Because they put the sheet over their body. And,
Oh, they were dead.
yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's really immersive. And then there was the chairs. Select chairs had the spine tingling
Yeah.
vibrations, and taking turns switching out in the seats so that you could experience it.
By the way, is this Ellen Burstyn?
Yes.
Wow. It's like more and more people keep showing up as the movie goes on.
I was distracted from whether or not that was her, because it was a brief moment where I thought there were like insects on my screen till I realized they were in the movie, because he just like did one of those.
I thought the same thing. It's like, wait, what?
It's like, again, how immersive is this experience becoming?
Well, you did say I may not make it through this movie because we need a bountiful harvest. So, how bountiful are we talking here? I mean,
Yeah, maybe we can get away with just getting your hands a little singed or something like that.
I do
So
think it's
many
kind of
bees.
interesting though, because like this kind of filmmaking, like this pace doesn't really exist anymore. Like you
Right.
do see it at the
Mm-mm.
indie level, but just with like streaming services, and I've seen articles talking about how like you need to like have exciting scenes in the first 5 minutes, and you need to have them every so often, because otherwise you're gonna the streaming services are worried they're gonna lose their audience, and so movies are paced to keep people's attention that way. Um, so
This is certainly not worried about that.
no, can you imagine though that I can't imagine like again like getting $40 million and everyone being like, yeah, you can take your time, that's fine.
there does become a little bit of like, where did the money go? I can only imagine it went to like the talent, because like there's not a lot by way of like, it's not like it's well shot, there's good cinematography,
Mhm.
but it's not like there's these like really over the top set pieces. So I have to imagine a lot of this budget went into like Nicolas Cage, Ellen Burstyn, like getting some of the people that are in it to participate.
I think
Maybe
the
the
productions
bicycle.
too. I was gonna say I think the productions are just bigger. I think there were like I think there were a lot of like ideas for what you need to have a production, and I think, and especially for horror movies, and I think again over time we saw them slim down. We saw the Blumhouse model, which is we can make a horror movie for 50 million or for $5 million and not 50 million, and that works out.
Yeah. It's Pop Culture Void bringing up a good point. This dude is allergic to bees, and he's just like, yeah, I'll stand in bee land. Like,
And
like he's
also,
having this conversation while like whacking his neck, getting stung. Like, how is he not having another episode at this point?
Pop Culture Void also mentioning just the Maximum Overdrive truck smashing through every scene. I thought I did see the Green Goblin head maybe one of those times as I was blurring by.
Yeah, I thought I saw a comet in the background of one of these scenes. It's all coming together.
I'm really I'm gonna get hungry for like honey toast watching this movie. There's so many scenes involving honey and the making of honey. And in fact, I used to work at a place where there was some kind of like a back 40 field there, and my boss there, who is the facilities manager, he raised bees as a hobby, so he actually was able to just put up his own beekeeping station back there, and he actually made enough honey where he could like sell it and give it to family and friends, and so. But as far as I know, no human was sacrificed in the making of that honey. I can't completely 100% guarantee that, but I was not a part of any of that element of it.
So you didn't participate. You just turned a blind eye.
It was very
exactly
delicious
how
honey.
I heard it.
I wasn't going to ask any questions about it. It was just very good honey.
That was pretty sketchy, Derek. I'm going to say. the language used there, you were tiptoeing around something. I don't know if you were afraid, if you told the truth, that would be like another strike towards your ultimate sacrifice at the end of the show, but like
it is on my mind.
We can tell when you're lying, Derek, is what we're saying.
Oh no. So most of the time.
Completely unrelated, but this reminds me of when they're digging up graves in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh God, yeah.
If anybody hasn't seen that movie, it's great, and that's such a great scene. Yeah, but it's a good movie, good scene.
Oh, with the 5 questions.
Yeah. And it just turning into this like slog of finding the right people to answer the questions.
Pop Culture Void said, don't bully Derek, ring Scott and bully him.
Yes, I'm 100% on board with that plan.
I keep threatening to, but one day I'm really going to call him and start a podcast episode.
Just a cold call that turns into a full episode.
Exactly.
I like that idea very much. Well, he does have a new book coming out, so I think that'd be a perfect way to do an episode on his book.
Yeah,
He would kill me.
that would be very interesting to do it in that where it's just like, hi, I'm Jonathan James. Welcome to Corpse Club. Today we are interviewing author Scott Drebbett about his new book.
Like, of all the times to do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's fully prepared.
We're really messing
Yes,
with him and tell him we want to do like a FaceTime hang or a Zoom hang. And like, as soon as he's on, I'll hit stream on the Twitch and we'll go live.
We can only hope that he's in his Burt Reynolds pose.
I mean, when is he not?
I just assume that's how he's always just that's just what he's always doing.
So one thing I'm not following, Rowan, does he think this is the girl from the car accident, or is he obsessed with this girl because of his trauma from the car accident?
I think this is, and I haven't been paying attention enough to know, I think this is another girl.
Okay. Pop Culture Void says both.
Yeah, and because of that, he's projecting his
Yeah.
past trauma in this case. I don't even know it's this case because, right, isn't it? And again, this because I see it on, because it's what do you call it, closed caption, and so I haven't really been paying attention.
Yeah.
It's his wife or his ex-wife or his partner that has the girl's missing, so they pulled him into this area.
Also, as if he hasn't been screwing up the suit enough, now he's in some kind of like underwater container or like sewage area, and he's still got. He didn't even take his shoes off. Like, he's just in everything. He jumps in the water a lot in this movie, actually, come to think of it.
Yeah, there's quite a few underwater scenes happening here.
Pop Culture
He still
Void
has
said
the tie.
he's washing it. He's washing his clothing.
That's why he's
in
getting
it.
in the water. Yeah. Yeah, maybe this is where the budget went. Like, these underwater scenes can't be cheap to shoot.
Yeah, definitely add some dollar signs. Ooh, a full moon. Could there be a werewolf in the works here?
Also, like, them, like, psychologically and I would say physically, like, torturing him in the back half of this movie. Is that, like, part of the sacrifice, or do they just think he's a dick?
Both.
I think everything we see is part of the ritual, but I don't recall.
Pop Culture
100%.
Void. I love seeing the same flashback 80,000 times.
But I like how we're getting flashbacks to like the intro. And I know now they've added a B, but it just
Now they're doing a flashback to the conversation he had at the beginning of the movie with the like, and I get, yeah, they're adding like different elements to it, but it's now she's turning into be okay. I'm okay. That's fine.
Yeah, that was a bit of a jump scare, that full on transformation into bees. Was he in there all night?
I think so. Like, again, are they just screwing with him at this point? Just for the sake of screwing with him?
They're like, yeah, just let him float around down there all night. We'll get him in the morning.
But seriously, if I see him wearing that suit again, I am going to be thoroughly grossed out.
Especially now because he's been like stewing in it. He's been stewing in it.
He's been marinating in it. Yeah. But yeah. Pop Culture Void said, let's watch Stung next, which I own, but I have not seen. I have it, but I have not seen it.
Wait, you own it, but you haven't seen it?
I mean, we all have Blu-ray stacks of movies that we haven't seen. Sure. Right? Everybody. I know Derek does. I know this is a true story.
I do.
Everybody kind of does. Yeah. I mean, I have way too many movies I haven't seen.
But wait, everybody. How did it get burned? How did it get burned? How did it get burned?
Oh, yes. It's time to do a shot every time you hear that. A shot of honey, of course.
That would be an interesting drinking game where you're bored for like 45 or for like over an hour, and then you get alcohol poisoning in like 13 seconds.
It's a very specific window. We could make it a double feature with Stung and then make it a triple feature with the Bee movie.
He's still wearing the suit.
Ooh.
Oh God, the stink that's got to be coming off of him at this point.
Wow.
Like he's what is this now? What? Well, in all fairness, he's also very confused. Pop culture void after seeing the guy in the bed topless just put boobies.
Also, I think the budget went to the like 2006 CGI.
Yeah, the BFX.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that being a big chunk of it. At this point, it's kind of turning into The Shining, where you're just opening rooms and seeing different things, and you're like, "Are those hallucinations?" Like,
and Pop Culture Void says she's ahead of us. So apparently, there are, I guess, more boobs to come along with bees.
Oh,
Might be the rated edition. Watching, but I don't know the difference.
Cage definitely got a good cardio workout on this movie. There's a lot of running through the woods.
Like, I'm picturing him just smelling like Jason Voorhees at this point, like in full zombie form.
Right, from part 7.
Yeah.
Ew. Disgusting. Oh God, yes. Okay, friends, we're getting into it.
Is this where he just
prepare ourselves?
Is this just where he just like starts unabashedly punching women in the face?
Yes.
Step away from the bike.
Is the gun?
He doesn't want the mask.
Is the gun really necessary? And now he's on a bike again. He is just on all modes of travel. He's running, he's swimming, he's biking. He's doing a triathlon in this fucking suit.
Oh. Here we do have...
I
was just thinking too, it's kind of like The Shining, and there we almost have like a little shout out to the twins. Yeah. Or I'm sorry, The Shinning.
You want to get sued?
Back to the tavern.
I do feel like this is one of the few times where so peek behind the curtain, we're usually watching this movie with the sound off and closed captioning on, just because we don't want it to interfere with the audio. I wish I was hearing this, but I think there is also something to be said about watching this over-the-top performance and not hearing it and just getting like the visuals.
It still works very well because Cage is so animated. It's almost like watching a silent film, which I know he takes inspiration from that era with his performances in some cases. So it's maybe this is the way it was meant to be watched.
I do also enjoy how like his manic, like as his mania gets heightened, it's shown visually by his hair gets taller.
Another subtle foreshadowing there, perhaps. Visual.
He's just running around knocking masks off these kids' heads.
He's like Tom Atkins in Halloween 3 at this point. Take it off, take it off.
I like how Tamika and I have stopped talking because we're just watching the movie.
Yes, because this is
where it gets good.
So like,
yes,
it hit the fan. Yeah.
there is something eerie about one person just kind of losing their mind and everyone else just being so lighthearted and happy, and like that's where you kind of get into that midsummer vibe where it's just such a contrast.
True, right.
It's like running into the Sawyer family from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's just like another day for them.
Yes, because if anybody is the picture of calm and cool, it's the Sawyer family.
Oh.
Ah.
This genuinely grossed me out like when I first saw this movie.
That was surprising. Finding the pilot there kind of disemboweled almost.
Well, at least the three girls like standing up in unison in animal masks and then back down wasn't creepy.
Right.
I know.
Yeah, there's a little they kind of lean into like more of a Children of the Corn vibe with the remake, where it's like the children are very creepy. I mean, the adults are too, but they really incorporate like the children with the masks and everything here. I mean, I haven't seen Malachi yet, but I can only assume he's running around there somewhere.
The only thing is they only get to be creepy like once every so often, because otherwise, like when there's not someone to sacrifice, they're just normal.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Or maybe this is them.
Ooh,
like, they're just inherently
punch.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh boy!
The punches have started.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a couple steps away from a movie being made by like a bunch of men's rights activists, and like instead of Children of the Corn, they would just call it like Females of the Corn or Females of the Honey. Because women are just terrifying in this movie.
Yeah. Women bad.
Women be sacrificing. Bad. You know how it is.
Right, you know.
I do like that Jonathan is just fully like invested in the movie now.
Oh yeah, it's gotten to the good part that I haven't seen in a while.
Oh no.
Oh wow.
Pop culture void. We do be burning though. Absolutely. Oh, Nicholas, save yourself from Lily Sobieski.
Oh, she was
Ooh, she was going bitey there. Oh yeah, that's a sweet kick.
He went full like Austin Powers right there with the judo chop. It's just a very pronounced like Taekwondo move there.
Pop culture void. He's bringing out the bear suits. She says it's time for his fursona.
True.
Gosh, so now he's going to have that really stinky suit inside of a bear costume with the sun just baking it all into one giant odor.
Honestly, that's bordering on like body horror territory for me. Just thinking just how wretched it must be inside that thing.
Yes.
Here he comes.
Oh boy.
He's not really bothering to be too stealthy, is he? Just kind of running out of the woods.
He's a very pissed off bear. It's me.
Did not read.
I love how her reaction is just, "Oh, what are you doing now?"
Pop culture void says he's gonna smell like a baked camembert from 1486.
True. It's so descriptive. I love that.
Yeah, that is definitely evoking some visceral reactions, and none of them are
good.
Like
a smell. Yeah.
Come on, Nicholas. It's been 5 minutes and you haven't punched any women in the face yet. Oh, I think this is it.
He's like, I know what I have to do.
Yeah, but like he thinks he can even stop this.
Yeah. Well, it's just a bunch of chicks. All he needs to do is punch him in the face. Oh God.
And I mean, they even called him a white knight. So like he does kind of have this like white knight syndrome where he thinks he should save and that he can, save everybody in every situation.
Mm-hmm.
I like for when people
woods.
Listen to this on the podcast side, it's just gonna be silence. Just stretches the silence as we're watching it. But hopefully you're watching it with us too.
Hopefully you'll understand that there are certain parts of this movie where you just have to kind of watch it.
Yeah. You're like, is he running around in his bear suit? Yes.
Yes. It's not
Has
something
he
you get to
showered
see
in
every day.
days? No.
And the subtitles say grunting softly.
Yeah. Yeah, they had retching before.
I would have passed out already in the sweltering heat in that bear suit.
Honestly, this is a very physical performance because he's been running nonstop. He's always in like a full suit or a bear costume.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, thank God I get to take off
carrying
this.
that little girl like that is, I mean, she's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's holding her and running. Like, man, that's a workout.
Yeah, you can't, no one can claim he's not dedicated to his craft.
We had a flip phone sighting there.
Which 2006, that still would have been a thing.
Oh, for sure,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people still have them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even have a cell phone yet.
I think I had that Razor, the Motorola Razor.
Oh,
I missed those.
Yep.
That was such a great
That
flip
was
phone.
sleek.
That was like top-notch
cool.
flip phone.
I had a sliver. Mine was the candy bar one.
Ooh.
Oh, nice. I love those commercials for that.
Yeah.
Like unwrap the
Oh.
phone.
Mhm. Good advertising, I tell you.
Yeah.
How many bullets does he have in that gun? It's got like a crowd of 100 people around him.
Also, like, you have come of your own free will. There's something very, like, Cenobite-y about that. Like, kind of not really knowing what it is you're signing yourself up for.
Yeah. This whole thing
Just like,
was a ruse to bring him in.
Mm-hmm.
You punch me in the face, you're gonna get it now, sir.
It's like that point where the mastermind explains their plan, like how everything came together.
They're monologuing now. Yeah.
The Dr. Evil moment. He doesn't want those twins coming in any closer.
I mean, I get it.
And kind of like Midsummer or the original Wicker Man, a lot of this taking place in broad daylight, like the biggest horror scenes of it. So it's that kind of unsettling, happening right under the sun kind of vibe that folk horror seems to be known for.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Because there's something creepier about that, you can see everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, just playing with that idea that, like, you associate daytime with safety, and in folk horror that is definitely not the case. I also wonder to what degree, though, it's like the horror from the original is where like you realize where everything is going. You realize he is going to get, sacrificed in this Wicker Man. You keep thinking like, oh, he's gonna get out. Movies like that. You would think they're building up the tension, but there's going to be some kind of last minute save, and then it doesn't happen. So I wonder to what degree though this loses some of its bite because like you have that original one for reference, so you know that this probably is not going to end well for him. So it's not quite as shocking, which might be why they kind of ramp things up with all the stuff that lead up to the actual sacrifice. Like, if I remember correctly, this is pretty gnarly in terms of what.
Yeah, this whole scene's definitely very, very memorable.
Wicked Kitten 13 asks, is Cage a virgin in this one too? I don't think that's an element of it in this one, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and he had it's his ex-fiance, I believe. But I'm not. Yeah, it is interesting though, because I know that's definitely an element of the original Wicker Man.
Oh.
Like right, I stopped talking after that, after what just happened.
Yeah, like right in the kneecap.
Yeah, at this point, there's misery. He knows there's no going back.
Yeah,
he's not getting out of this one.
It is interesting too, because his casting in this movie, especially him at that time, it does make you think, well, maybe it'll end differently but it's kind of effective because it is even more jarring. Oh, and here we have it.
Not the bees.
Ooh.
It's like, stop screaming. Oh. They're going to go into your mouth.
And here on the shirt I'm wearing, I do have the bees moment right here. So this is the many expressions of Nicolas Cage.
That's the mood of Nicolas Cage right now. That is certainly some CGI B work.
A la 2006.
And again,
just straight up torturing him.
Yeah, like again, is this part of the ritual, or is this just like, are they just like getting their jollies? Because like in the original one, it's no, we're just throwing you in this thing and burning you alive. Like,
I do think there's an element here of incapacitating him. So, I mean, obviously it was, let's get his knees so he can't walk. And maybe they thought even then he could still be a threat. I don't know how, but
so let's get him out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. With the bees and kind of just get him in this like doped up state.
They didn't want him doing any more side kicks because that was kind of his go-to move. So they're like, well, we'll take out his legs.
Yeah. He pissed him off by like, getting his mixed martial arts on with half of their population. So they were going to teach him a lesson before they toss him into the Wicker Man. I like the chickens clucking, closed captioning there.
Birds chittering, goats bleating. A symphony of sounds.
Maybe it's a good thing that, the beast, well, maybe it would have been better if they had stung him everywhere, not just his face. So that, like, maybe he wouldn't feel what's about to happen, I don't know if that's...
Either way, this is going to hurt.
Either way, I guess it wouldn't make you numb, I guess. It's just...
All the way to the top. Oh, and she gives the torch to Rowan. the girl he was looking? Is that the girl he was looking for? That's about to set the Wicker Man on fire. That's just even more insult to injury. Oh my gosh! Like they really are just wanting to. It's like one last middle finger to him is, here, why don't you be the one to start this thing on fire? He's like, you are so grounded if you light me on fire.
Put it down, honey. Again, we come back to that.
Oh, no.
Well, she put it down.
Oh, no. Oh.
So that's interesting. So it's the drone so it's maybe not as much like the Virgin, but they're looking for like the guy who's just like, he's this cop. He's like very just like, focused on like the quote unquote like right thing, the normal thing.
He's very mid.
Dude, you gotta stop blindsiding me with that. I can't.
He is.
But yeah, he's very mid. If this was made today, the mid must die. Oh God.
That'll be the next remake.
Pop Culture Void says JFC, boss man. I mean, he could still be okay, right?
The Wicker Man 2.
That was an interesting shot, having the camera underneath and having the head fall on top of it like that.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, wow. So I'm pretty sure in the not unrated version, because I remember like seeing or reading something about like there's a scene at the end where like they show you that like these women have kind of been fishing for men to sacrifice for a while, and that they're going to continue to do it. We did not get that here. And if I'm reading correctly from Pop Culture Void, there's a scene with like two cops, and one of them is James Franco, because Pop Culture Void says,
I just saw that.
Burn Franco, burn him.
Yeah, we didn't get that on our version.
In the unrated version, they just end it on the sacrifice. So, so that was a movie. That was the 2006 The Wicker Man. Yeah, I would say
put that on the poster.
I would say that I do not necessarily fully agree with Tamika in terms of me liking these movies equally. I would give the edge to the original in 1973, but I definitely get they are both very different animals in terms of like why you would enjoy one versus the other. And this one is very much the one that you watch with a bunch of friends and just kind of like enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I think this came out at a weird time. This was still in like the remake reboot craze. And in a lot of cases, there's not a reason for it to exist. Meaning that it's like, it's so close to the original, you could just watch the original. And I think also like the originals, and in this case, the original Wicker Man is a product of its time, and it was very effective and it did something different. But in 2006, we've seen a number of movies with twist endings. We kind of know what we're getting because we've seen a whole, like I said, like subgenre of movies that are based on the Wicker Man. So this didn't tread any new territory, and the characters are thinner than the characters we have in the original. So that's what makes this one tough. This isn't like this movie. I always kind of quote Heather because she's like, "This movie's fine. This movie doesn't harm anybody. It doesn't make me not want to see the original. It doesn't." But also, I would rather show someone the original than show them this one.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
Yeah.
as a first introduction, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's. I mean, and some people this might be their. They may see this one first, but I don't think there's any need to see this one if you've seen the original. And I think that's kind of the shame here.
I don't know if you saw Pop Culture Void's last comment. Jonathan, is there another way that you would describe this movie?
Oh yeah, I mean, basically this movie's mid.
I think we're gonna end on that. This is the middest of mid movies. Thank you. Okay, boomer. Oh man. All right. Well, on that note, thank you everybody for joining tonight for our Wicker Man watch party. If you're watching on Twitch, be sure to follow our channel. If you're already here, you probably already know, but it's Daily Dead Twitch, so make sure you are following us. We will be doing this every month. We actually have, I think, some really fun stuff coming up for Pride this month. We're going to wait a couple days to get this out. More if you're listening to this on the podcast version, we might have already announced it. So just make sure you're checking out Daily Dead for our Pride Month announcement. For those who are listening to this as a podcast, we want to thank Bryan, our engineer, for helping us out every episode. We want to thank you, our listeners, and for the Twitch viewers, thank you to our audience, our viewers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure to visit corpseclub.com. Check out our latest episode. You can also become a member. Don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Every rating and review helps us out. You can check us out on Google Play. You can check us out on SoundCloud and all of your favorite podcast providers. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so at contact@corpseclub.com or on Twitter @DailyDeadNews or @CorpseClub and on Instagram and Facebook under Corpse Club. Thank you again for joining us for this watch party or listening in for this commentary. And until next time, stay scary.